So I can tell you that over probably the past 50 years, scientists have gone from believing that animals maybe are just very simplified creatures with very few emotions to very complicated, complex thinkers with a lot of different emotions, with empathy, the ability to deceive, the ability to interact in different ways, to pass on knowledge socially and potentially culturally. All of these things tell us that animals are a lot more complicated than we thought they were, and they're probably a lot more similar to us than we thought they were.
First of all, we are animals. We don't often see each other that way, but we are animals. And my work on the primates is mostly about how there's continuity in intelligence between us and them, and in emotions, and the whole psychology of humans and animals is very similar.
Dr. Frans de Waal is a professor of psychology at Emory University in Atlanta. He is one of the world's leading authorities on primates. Dr. Heidi Lin is associate professor of psychology at the University of South Alabama. She also studies primates as well as dogs and dolphins. Their findings about animal intellect, emotion, and empathy are very similar. It was once thought that the three key differences separating the intellect of humans from other animals was our ability to use tools, to understand language, and to think forward or backward in time. Modern research has shown that, in fact, none of these three are exclusive to humans.
Apes that I have worked with can understand language at the level of a 2.5-year-old child. They've actually been tested against a 2.5-year-old child, given a sentence like put the keys in the refrigerator, and they can follow that. They can use a keyboard to request things themselves. So they can say, I want to go outside, or I want to go to this specific location and get food. We know that dogs can memorize English words for different objects. We've seen a couple of dogs who have the ability to do up to 1,000 words with one specific dog. And then the second part of language is putting those words together in longer sequences and meaning different things, like man bites dog versus dog bites man. That's been studied in dolphins in particular with an artificial language system where they had things like ball fetch basket versus basket fetch ball, and they can follow those pretty easily.
We have known for 50 years that primates can use tools. Now we know that many other animals have that ability. Elephants and octopuses, birds and rats, and dolphins too.
They use sponges that they carry on their noses to actually protect themselves from foraging in rocky, reefy areas and things like that.
And more recently, we are learning that animals don't just live in the moment. They can use past experience to anticipate future actions.
Planning ahead. We always think that animals live in the present, they're captives of the present, but actually we know from research on all sorts of animals now, they can think back to specific events, and they can think forward to things that they are planning to do.
One short-term example is something called spatial memory.
The spatial memory task with dogs it basically is like the shell game, and they are very good at, if you hide something in 3 cups, they'll be able to find it.
But it can be much more complex, as in the case Dr. de Waal recalls of a primate who carried a rock to crack a cache of nuts a 15-minute walk away.
Now think about this. It's not just the tool use that is interesting, because we know already for 50 years that chimps and bonobos can crack nuts with stones. But it is that 15 minutes before she even had the nuts in her hand, she was already planning this whole thing.
So do animals have feelings, even empathy? That was once considered unmeasurable. Now, by matching them to MRI brain patterns linked to specific emotions in humans, researchers have verified a variety of animal feeling states. Pigs can display optimism. A wide variety of species experience grief.
Yeah, so love and attachment you find in all the mammals. You find it also in birds, actually.
Rats laugh when you tickle them. We also know that dolphins love to play. We also know that apes play with each other. Apes tickle each other. They also laugh.
We find even a sense of fairness in the primates. We find empathy. They empathize with others. They react to the distress of others.
There have been a series of studies recently on mice and rats showing empathy. So, for example, they'll put a rat in a small box and they'll release another rat into the area. They don't know each other, these two rats. There's no food reward or any sort of mechanism to give the rat anything for opening that box and letting the other rat out. Most of the time they'll do it.
And so all of these emotions, the very basic ones, but also sometimes very complex ones like forgiveness and empathy and so on, we can find in other species. And I think it has moral implications in the sense that if you assume that animals are very intelligent, which some animals certainly are, or that they have emotions like us, you cannot do everything you want with them. There are certain limits on what you can do.